Ready? One, two, three. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Command Wolf Gaming. I'm CWG, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a vlog slash testing session. And for those in the voice acting community that I share, and I don't know if you guys are watching this or not, or listening to this. If you guys want to skip ahead to the actual testing portion, I'll put a timestamp for you guys. But if you kind of want to listen to me ramble on, that's fantastic. I don't know what to say there, but yeah. But if you want to hear explanation why I'm doing this, and then or skip ahead again, the head will be timestamp on screen, and I'll explain the steps and what specs of what I'm dealing with and what I'm going to be doing exactly. So, for those who don't know, who are in my community, for Rumble, Odyssey, Kick, Twitch, and YouTube, I've been a content creator for since 2017. Right, that's many many years, and I haven't really cracked over 1,000 um, uh, consecutive subscribers and viewers. So I'm not making a monetization for you guys, but I'm doing this for the fun of it, and I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying all the content creation that I'm doing for you guys. Now, I kind of want to give you a little bit of backstory of on what's going on since I've been doing content creation for many many years now. Um, I actually kind of wanted to change careers at one point to do voice acting. Now, I did take voice acting classes. In fact, I really, really wanted to do it. So I did went. I took some online classes with a school out of New York City, and it didn't work well. First of all, I didn't feel like the school was really teaching you anything. They kind of went over some things, and that was it. They really weren't very comprehensive on the things. Now, I know they had like each individual teacher that you can talk to, and you kind of, got experience, their experience, but it was just, they really did not go over all the different aspects. We're talking about pricing. They didn't talk about the union. They didn't talk about like social media stuff. Like they really didn't go over that stuff. They went out to do like a general overage in their sections, and not saying it's bad. It's a good refresher course, but I did try voice acting a couple years ago. I think it was maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and it didn't turn out well. I got shortlisted for some audio recordings, but I never actually got like an actual like gig, and I couldn't figure out why. So recently, I am unemployed, unfortunately. Not by my choice, but did end up unemployed. And one of the things I was able to come back to, which I wanted to do again, is voice acting. And luckily, I ran across an ad for learning voice acting by Joe Zija. And I do apologize, Joe, if I mess up your last name. I have that type of last name as well, where people screw up my last name because they don't know how to properly, you know, um, pronounce it. And so I do apologize, Joe, if you are watching this and I did screw that up. So Joe, he is in charge of this community. He founded this community of to kind of help new and current members of the voice acting community, and he has a bit of a lot of different works underneath his name. At least the ones that he shows here on screen for us. He has done Claude Von Regan from Fire Emblem Three Houses. He has done Just Cause, Caesar in Just Cause 4. Fox McCloud from Star Fox Zero, The Battle Begins. In Achilles and Fate, or Apocryph. Apocrypha. I'm gonna stumble over some words. That's me in a nutshell. He also did the sidekick is Issei Hoshino in Yakuza Judgment. He has done other things as well, and Anyway, he has put like a comprehensive study program together for those who are learning voice acting and for those who are still currently voice acting but want to get like refreshed on some things. And it's actually a fantastic course for those who want to do voice acting, because he covers, pricing. He tells us like where to go, what pricing. He got some discount on some items. It's like, if I would say yes, this is a fantastic course for those who want to learn how to be a voice actor. Um, and I know it's probably one of like a billion different voice actors that put together an academy to learn voice acting, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like Joe is doing a fantastic job here, and so I'm through this course, and I'm actually at the portion. I did skip one or two sections because I feel like they don't apply to me right now. Like for instance, the union. I'm not making money enough to make it to get into the union, but yeah. Anyway, so one of the things he talked about is getting a porta booth. I didn't even know they make porta booths for voice actors. I didn't even know there was porta booths that exist. I thought I would have to build like a huge structure in my basement or in my room where I can soundproof my thing, because I think that was I like, at least in the back of my mind, I thought that was the reason why I wasn't getting jobs, because of my obviously ambient noises. So this is actually raw mic footage right now. I'm not going to try to adjust the volume as much as possible here so that we don't have any confusion. And for those that don't know, I stream and I obviously record for my content creation. And my computer is like 3 feet away from my mic. That hum in the background that you guys are hearing right now is the actual fans in my computer. And it kind of gets on my nerves, but at the same time, when I'm doing YouTube or Rumble or Kick or Twitch and I'm recording or I'm streaming something, it gets covered up by the background noise. It gets covered up by music or guns or explosions or whatever's happening on screen. And so I just didn't know how to mitigate it. And one of the things, obviously, I learned how to do, thanks to Joe, is the best way to utilize my DAW, which is this. I use Adobe Audition for this. And yes, you see a script on screen right down here on the bottom right, because that's actually the script I'm going to be working off of, and I'm going to keep it like that. So what I'm going to be doing is I bought myself a porta booth, right? Now I know Joe has one specifically that he recommends, but I just don't have the money to purchase that right now. My money is tied up in other things. I actually do run my a separate business. I do run a Etsy store where I do like personalization on like coasters, keychains, ornaments, uh, like a bunch of different things, as well as some woodworking and stuff. So my money's kind of tied up there, and so I can't buy a super deluxe porta booth. But I did end up finding a semi cheap porta booth. It was like $60. It's made by Troy Studio. In fact, I have it on hand, and it looks, it's kind of like the same. I think it's a little bit thinner. It's not as deep as the porta booth that he showed us and he recommends for us to get. But so that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to do a sound test with this. Now, yesterday or Thursday night, this past Thursday night, I did try it, and I don't know what it sounds like. So that's why I'm running a test today. So I got my script, which I actually do have a couple different settings here. So I got obviously microphone without the porta booth. The porta booth, and this one actually has a front cover to it. So without the front cover, and then with the front cover. And now I'm at on my microphone. I got an Elgato Wave 3. For those who are wondering, that's the microphone I have. It's a USB mic. I know in professional voice acting that they do have the other microphones that were obviously in our lessons, where we can, which will be better. Yes, but again, I can't afford that right now. So I got to work with what I have. And Joe did say that, using a USB mic, you can still do work with it, right? But we will outgrow it. So I just kind of want to get my foot in the door, start getting working on it, and hopefully start landing jobs so that I can afford the fancy dancy microphone and great Porta booth and all this other stuff. I just got to work within the frame that I have. So I'm trying to be adaptable. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do, so my microphone, my Elgato Wave 3, I got a gain control on the front. In fact, I'm kind of playing around with it right now, so that's so that I can put it all the way down, I can put it all the way up, and I can put it in the middle. Usually, with me when I'm streaming or making content creation, I usually leave it in the middle, and then on the back side, I adjust it so that it's either lower or higher accordingly. Again, depending on what's going on in the background. If it's a soothing, nice game, right? Not really a lot of explosions. I probably would lower that down. And again on the backside. But if it has crazy explosions and everything, I'll raise it back up. Anyway, so what I'm going to be doing from on this script right here, I'm going to be reading these lines: microphone, raw, studio, sound, blah blah blah. I'm going to put the cover on, so you're going to hear. I am going to try to keep this as raw as possible, so that you guys know I'm not cheating. I'm not adjusting anything. That's why I'm recording it here on my DAW, so that you guys can see what I'm seeing right here. I'm not going to make any adjustments here. So, because I'm going to have to disconnect my mic, put the Porta booth on, and then reconnect my mic, because my mic's on a boom. And yes, I do have another microphone, but I feel like this boom mic is what I really use, and the other microphone is probably something more for travel if I'm ever going to be doing stuff on the road. And it's another USB mic. Maybe I'll do a separate recording for that. Anyway, let's get right into this. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put this low. So we have this at the lowest gain right now. And it is, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dots across. So it's all the way in the 1 position. So we're going to read this off, and obviously we're going to record this here so that we have the recording on here, and you'll hear this recording and not obviously what is going to happen on my video recording. So microphone, raw sound test without Troy Studio Porta booth, low gain, 1 2 3 1 2 3, test. Okay, so that is the first thing. I know I screwed up the initial line, but it is what it is. All right, so we're going to put that back there. I'm going to do these each line by line so there's no confusion. We're at medium gain now. Well, the microphone, again, I use an Elgato Wave 3. So this is at bar number 4. Yeah, so microphone, raw sound test without Troy Studio Porta booth. 1 2 3 1 2 3, test. Okay, so that was obviously the medium gain one. In fact, what you're hearing right now, that's medium gain. We're going to move over here, and we're going to jack this all the way up. Microphone, raw sound test without Troy Studio Porta booth. High gain. 1 2 3 1 2 3, test. test. Okay, so right off the gate, right off the gate, I can see right now, obviously, we can see this is very much different. Obviously, the gain volume is, if we scooch in here, we can see a lot more background noise there, not so much here. And then if we go all the way over here, you don't see anything, but it's super quiet. So anyway, so let me disconnect. I'm going to disconnect the microphone. Obviously, we're going to get some errors popping up on screen. And then I'm going to reconnect it after I get the Porta booth on. And we'll do without the front cover, which is next in the script. And then we'll do the front cover. So, be right back. Okay, we should be getting audio again. I'm going to put this on medium for now so you guys can hear me clearly on the recording. So now we got the Porta booth on, right? And we don't have the front cover on. So we're going to be doing this portion of the recording. So we're going to be doing it at low gain, medium gain, then high gain. So Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. Low gain, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. You know what, guys? I screwed up on that one. I adjusted the wrong knob on here. So I am going to go back. I am going to fix that. I'm going to adjust it back down to low gain. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. Low gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Okay. Sorry, I made a bit of a noise at the end there. I got a little bit of a hiccup there. But you can kind of see it when you compare these two, that it did reduce a lot of incoming sound. I'm not going to listen to it now. I'll listen to it later. We're just going to trim that down a bit so that I don't have too much raw audio here. And we're going to go here. So what we're really doing is we're just doing a comparison all the way down. Then we'll listen to all of it at the end. I'll mute the mic, and then we'll hear how it sounds at the end. And you tell me what sounds best. As well, I'll make my own judgment, and I'll kind of like we'll circle back to this at a later date. So, yeah. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. Medium gain. 1, 2, 3. Wait, is it? It's not going. Oh boy. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. Medium gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Okay. Again, you can kind of see from this medium to that medium, there is a slight difference. You can kind of see it at the peaks. Like if you look there and you look over here, this is definitely higher without the sound booth. All right, so now I'm going to jack it all the way up, and we're going to do the high gain. I might actually add some more tracks in here so that we can do some more recordings here. I'm gonna have to figure that. I'm gonna have to figure that out on the fly. So, let me do that. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. High gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Now, just kind of like looking at the now, just looking at the like high gain sections, we're definitely getting some. Looks like some peaks in here. You can see it kind of right down here if we zoom in. Now, I don't know if that's any different from what we're seeing up here. If not, it might be slightly reduced. I don't know. All right. Not too sure, but again, we're doing this as a test. Let's see if I can get another track in here. There we go. 1, 2, 3. We do want 3 tracks. Because now we're going to do the same test with the cover on the Porta booth. Wrong one. That one. So okay, front cover is on now, so I'm going to start recording. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test with front cover. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Wow. Did it? I gotta check that. Hold on. What is? Wow. Okay, so that reduced it like significantly. Holy smokes. Okay, so we're gonna set this up to the medium volume. All right, so we set it up to the medium volume. We're gonna put the front cover back on, and then we're gonna record the next section. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test with front cover. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. All right, so that was the medium gain one. Now we're going to jack it all the way up to high, and we're going to test the high. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test with front cover. High gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. All right. All right, so I did notice that that all on the high gain sections, you can actually kind of see down here, right? We did get a lot of extra noise. So I'm actually going to let me plug my headphones in because I had to unplug it from my mic. So give me a second here. All right, so I got my headphones plugged in. My microphone is reset in its original position the best I can. Sorry guys, I know you hear a lot of noise in the background. That's just me moving my mic around. So what I'm gonna do now is we're actually gonna hear all of them from start to finish to see how good they are. Now I am putting my headphones on because what I'm listening to for those who don't know in my community is that I'm listening for background noise, and basically what I'm trying to listen for is my computer humming. Now I know that as a professional voice actor, for those in the voice acting community, we're going to edit this out on the DAW, but I wanted to see if there's any way to improve that and to actually really reduce that noise in the background. So let's just start out as we were going to do this. Microphone. Microphone. Raw sound test. Without Troy Studio Porta booth. Low gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Microphone. Raw sound test. Pardon me. I actually had to readjust my microphone again. I'm an idiot. Microphone. Microphone. Raw sound test. Without Troy Studio Porta booth. Low gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Microphone. Raw sound test. Without Troy Studio Porta booth. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Microphone. Raw sound test. Without Troy Studio Porta booth. High gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. Low gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. Medium gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. High gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. High gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio. Troy Studio. I'm an idiot. Okay, so I started talking and I forgot I put the muted the mic. Anyway, so it looks like in all the testing that I have here, that we can clearly see here, at least in the high gain area, microphone. We can hear that super loud fan, right? Or at least my desktop fans, right? Troy. So I most likely I would not be using high gain unless I'm really like trying to shout at somebody. But even then, I probably wouldn't go nuts with that. Um, let's check out. I want to check out the medium together. So let's check out the first medium. Microphone, raw sound test without Troy Studio Porta booth. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test test. Troy Studio Porta booth raw sound test without front cover. Medium gain. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test test. Troy Studio Porta booth raw sound test with front cover. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test test. Okay, so what I really liked, again, I have this on the Porta booth still on. I'm not going to fuss around with taking it back off. It seemed like doing it with the front cover has drastically induced the noise, input noise from the fan, which is fantastic. That's what I'm looking for. It would be a pain in the butt if I have to adjust the gain, right? Because I got to pull off the front cover, adjust it, then put it back up. So I might have to do it without the cover. Troy Studio. Then obviously the low gain stuff is just microphone. Troy Studio. It's so minute on if I do the low. So you know what? It might be in a center area if I can do. Let's do another track. We're gonna do another track down here. Obviously, you guys can listen to this afterwards in all the settings. We're gonna do that. We're gonna put here, and we're just gonna do. We're gonna do without the front cover, and we're just gonna do another one. I don't know if it's slightly low gain, but I'm going to call it a slightly low gain. So we're going to put it like in the middle between the medium and the low gain. Again, I have 7 pips on here. So I'm going to put it like at 2 to record. Troy Studio Porta booth raw sound test without front cover. Slightly low gain. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test test. Troy Studio Porta booth raw sound test without front cover. Slightly low gain. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test test. So that was that. Let's see where. So that was that. Let's go up to where's this one? Troy Studio Porta booth. It might be good if I. Troy Studio Porta booth raw sound test. Let's just compare one and was it 1 2 3 1 2. This one. These two together. We'll mute that one. This one for now. Troy Studio Porta booth raw sound test without front cover. Medium gain. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test test. Troy Studio Porta booth raw sound test without front cover. Slightly low gain. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Test test. All right, we're going to slightly increase the gain again here. All right. You guys can make fun of me later. I'm going to call it 3 blips, okay? Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. 3 blips gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. 3 blips gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. Medium gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. Slightly low gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test, without front cover. 3 blips gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Okay, so I think overall, at least from my testing, the medium setting here, right, might be the what I'm looking for. And that might be exactly what I'm looking for here in regards to audio sound. I'll put this, oops, no, didn't mean to do that. I'll put this down here. Copy that, put it down here so that we have that. But then I'll run a comparison file between this one Let's do this one with the cover on at 3 blips because I feel like that's that's the zone I'm gotta look for. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test with front cover. 3 blips gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Troy Studio. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test with front cover. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Troy Studio, Porta booth, raw sound test with front cover. 3 blips gain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test, test. Okay, so overall, I think, at least for my testing, right? I will export this into one file, obviously on my video, and then I'm gonna export this and this as separate tracks, so that we can kind of run a comparison to see what we have. And honestly, that's all I kind of wanted to do. I just wanted to check everything and make a comparison. I'll use these as separate audio files so that I can port it over to my video so that we got raw uncut footage. You guys can hear the background and obviously me talking on two different things. And let me know which one you think sounds good, because to me it sounds like somewhere like in the 3 blip range. I'm gonna call it 3 blip range. It's gonna be like something like either without the cover or with the cover on. I feel like the with the cover on does help reduce the sound a little bit more. It will just be a pain in the butt to reach for the controller every time because I got to pull the cover off. But let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think is the best sound. And again, I feel like it's without the cover at a lower gain. Not low, like between low and medium gain, and with the cover on at a medium to like semi-medium gain. So that's my take on it. So thank you guys for tuning in. I didn't realize this was going to be this long, but I guess there was a lot to cover here. So see ya. Sorry, guys. I forgot one more thing. I'm actually going to let this run, and I wanted to show you guys the level, obviously, here, so you guys can see the exact level that pops up. So we're just going to allow it to run all the way through. Again, no interruptions. Microphone. Microphone. Raw sound test. Without Troy Studio Porta booth. Low gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Microphone. Raw sound test. Without Troy Studio Porta booth. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Microphone. Raw sound test. Without Troy Studio Porta booth. High gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. Low gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. Medium gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. High gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. High gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. Medium gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. Slightly low gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. Without front cover. 3 blips gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test. Troy Studio Porta booth. Raw sound test. With front cover. 3 blips gain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test. Test.